All right, so welcome, Miss Sharonda, back to my channel.
Hi.
I appreciate your time. Um, and you are such a great resource to the financial community. So today I want to talk to you just a little bit about buyers, future buyers, potential buyers, or clients that have student loans. Student loans are a big deal. I know recently, over the past couple of years, is when they kind of became more strict with student loans. So
Yeah.
I just want to get some questions answered on behalf of my clients and behalf of future buyers throughout that would come to this video. And just hopefully we can be a resource for them and help them with some of these questions that they may have. So the very first question I'm just going to ask you is, what are student loans?
Okay, simply put, student loans are money that you borrowed from either a private bank or from the government's bank in order to pay for your education while you were in college or going to grad school or a doctoral program.
Gotcha.
So those are student loans, money that you borrowed specifically for your education, and you enter in a repayment plan to pay it back after you finish your education.
Okay. So I'm going to skip a couple questions down because of something that you just said. But if a client or a potential buyer is still in school and they're trying to purchase a home,
Mhm.
what does that look like for them? Because I have clients that think, well, I don't have to worry about my student loans because I'm still in school. I'm getting my doctorates. I'm getting my master's. So I don't have to, I'm not required to pay those right now. So what does that look like on a finance side?
Quite honestly, from the standpoint of the money lender, it will be based on what else they have going on, what other debts they have in place. Because ultimately, the responsibility of the money lender is to determine the customer's likelihood of borrowing money and paying it back with the least amount of issues. So if you have debt already out there for student loans, in addition to car loans, credit cards, anything else, all of that is taken into consideration for your application. So it's on a case by case basis, and it depends on your credit score and your credit history. Because even if you're in school and are on an in-school deferment and you're not required to pay your student loans, the biggest test of your stability is, okay, what will your financial situation look like when you do become required to repay your student loans? Can you handle that responsibility as well as everything else that you have on your plate? So that is something to take into consideration on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. Why do student loans play such a huge role when it comes to purchasing a home? I mean, you think, I have a lifetime to pay these back. Why do my student loans even matter?
Well,
Why do
a
they
lot
play
of
such a
people,
huge role?
I would say a lot of people think that way because they're not properly taught about borrowing money of that magnitude. See, it's very easy to get student loans. Very easy.
I couldn't get student loans.
Right. But for most people, it's very easy to get student loans, but what is lacking is the, I guess, the counseling that goes into getting student loans and saying, okay, you're going to have to pay this back. And even though, some entities make it easy for you to defer or forbear your loans, meaning that you won't have to make a payment because of your circumstances, that kind of does the customer an injustice
Mm-hmm.
because, the loans are still there. And the reason why it's so important is because it's still money that you borrow. Even though you're not required to make a payment, interest still accrues. And from the eyes of the money lender, if it looks as if you're not making a payment on your student loans and you're just letting interest add up on that loan, that's kind of irresponsible, and then, you don't want to be in a position to where the money lender will think that you will let that fall to the wayside. Like, why add on another debt if you're claiming that you can't afford to pay debt that you currently have? Because the idea of debt in the eyes of the money lender is for you to be in a position to repay. So they look at how you're handling your current situation and the smaller stuff before you add on a big stuff like the mortgage, So I always tell customers, think like a money lender, not a money borrower, because the money lender wants their money back.
Right. Something that I tell people sometimes when it comes to student loans, and I don't even know if it's right, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but often I say, well, why would, and I think it's kind of like what you said, but it may not be the right terminology, but I'll say, if you have government-backed student loans, why would the same people give you a mortgage? Because the same people are probably backing your home mortgage, but they see that, okay, you're not paying us for your education. Why would you pay us now, now? So is that correct when I say that?
I mean, if you're trying to break it down, like, okay, you're supposed to show that you can repay money that you borrow. So yes, what you are telling them is right. I mean, some people may not want to hear it, but it's like if I was a bank and and you asked me for $10,000 to pay for your education, because your education is supposed to position you to get the job that you want, to make the money that you want so you can live a good life. So if you're not repaying your educational debt, honestly, why are you trying to get another loan from me? You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, and it may sound harsh, but it is reality.
What is the likeliness that these student loans would prevent one from purchasing a home? And I know we said earlier that it just depends on the specific circumstances for each person, but just
the likelihood that student loans will impact your ability to obtain a home loan is very high, because again, the money lender is looking at how you're managing what you currently have and seeing if it's safe to add on the amount that you're asking for. Okay. Because it depends on what's already on your plate. If you have student loans and a car loan and credit cards and you have children, those are things that I think as an individual consumer, you should ask yourself, okay, how am I going to manage all of this and add on more debt? So, and one thing that I've learned in being in banking and finance since 2003 is that when it comes to the whole money thing, you keep your emotions out of it. We're looking at the facts. We're looking at the numbers. We're looking at history.
Exactly.
We understand people do want to buy into the American dream of home ownership, which is very, very possible. But that American dream is also a reality when it comes to how you manage in your finances.
Exactly.